Welcome, 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 all. Thank you for joining the IGLOO. My name is Marcus Cox. I'm the founder and member of this illustrious refuge called IGLOO. IGLOO is essentially a community of folks that have experienced a layoff or experienced a separation from their job. And inside this IGLOO, inside this cold place, things come at you. Your self pity, your ability to figure out what's next, vacation plans, bills that are coming up. In my experience, an upcoming wedding. But what I wanted to do is really share my experiences and bring in business experts, entrepreneurs, people that have gone back inside, found their purpose, and quite frankly, created opportunities for themselves, whether it's going back to corporate America or creating their own organization. I am happy and proud to present to you our first IGLOO guest, the illustrious Traci Morgan. Traci is the founder of TN Morgan Consulting Group. And I will just want to start. Traci, welcome to the IGLOO. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you and I meet?
Yes, good morning. I'm so excited to be here. I am founder and owner of a career coaching and development company, as well as an HR consulting company. There are other small businesses, but this has been my core focus actually since 2008. So I help individuals as well as business when it comes to all things career and professional development. And you and I actually met in college at the marvelous Winston-Salem State University. Actually, in 1994 is where we met. I was a transfer student from Bennett College. And we met among a group of friends, one of someone who I was kind of semi dating at the time, but just became great friends with. And you all had a special group that was just fun to be around with. And we became like brother and sisters and have really grown from there. It's been over 20 years now. So, yes.
Yeah, it's been a minute. And, as a matter of fact, 20 years ago, I was bald headed and I didn't have gray hair. And I'm excited to say now, 20 years, I'm still have gray hair, but it's hidden. But nonetheless, Traci, it is just an awesome opportunity to have you and telling and finding out a little more about TN Morgan Consulting Group. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions. And honestly, I want for you just to have candor and to give people inside this community a sense of they're not alone. You've been there before, or based on your experiences and looking at resumes and placing people. These are best practices for people to use. So I'm interested. Have you ever experienced a layoff or been separated from a company?
Yes, that is actually why I started my company. I've actually gone through a total of 8 layoffs in my career, even with having experience, master's degree, the whole nine. And so being separated from my position, as you know, it is devastating and it takes on a different mindset of how you are going to approach going through the process. But yes, I've been laid off. In my first layoff, I will not say the name of the company right now, but they are a major consulting firm. And I later learned that was a part of a trend that takes place where they call the summer slowdown. And sometimes it happens with what occurred with us. There was over hiring that took place. So a part of that, I actually ended up training someone overseas on doing my job and was laid off.
Oh, wow. Wow. So there was a sense of, hey, I'm doing a great job. Company overhired and had to right size, and you were impacted. So what were those initial feelings? I mean, when your first layoff, you got that news. What were your initial feelings? What was your emotional state?
Anger. We're going to be real. I
Hmm.
was angry. I was hurt. Of course, now, I understand those are parts of grieving. It's a part of a grief process. But I was very angry and upset because you made me question where did I mess up? Where it had nothing to do with my performance. And then it also made me in a sense of urgency of making sure, hey, during this time of year, this is when most companies slow down in hiring. How am I going to find at that time, another recruiter position? And just it caused a lot of emotions. And it also caused a little bit of self-confidence challenges at the time as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I try to be the most optimistic person on earth, and people that know me laugh because I'm usually a straight shooter, but I'm a straight shooter through optimism, right? Like I believe the
Right.
best is yet to come. If you're well prepared and you do the right things, that great things will happen. But I'm also a realist and I'm also a human being, right? So similar to you, when I got laid off, one, I was celebrating. I was like, oh, praise Jesus. But secondarily, truth be told, I was hurt. I was like, oh man, like I didn't have enough time. If I would have done this differently, if I would have approached this differently, maybe I would be there. But honestly, being separated and having this space of really self reflecting and understanding what purpose, and that's something that I want to kind of talk about is purpose, because if you have purpose, a centered purpose, it doesn't matter necessarily what career you're going or what salary you're going, because you're living inside something that is more than a paycheck, that is more than a what I would call a quick respite down the street of, hey, you know what, we just won this deal or sold this amount of goods. So when I talk about purpose, I'll explain. My purpose
Mhm.
every day is to bring joy to those I encounter. It's simple, it's very easy. And I can do that in a multitude of ways. I can do that through IGLOO, creating this community of, hey, we're in this together. Hey, these are some best practices that I've learned. Guess what? This person who's had 80 applications go through finally has gotten their job. Let's celebrate them. But in that
Mhm.
celebration, right, that's how I bring joy, that joy. So I'm interested. Have you had that reflection of purpose and creating a purpose for yourself, or quite frankly, a purpose for TN Morgan Consulting Group?
Most definitely. And I want to piggyback a little bit off of something that you just said. What triggered for me, it was a little bit before my layoff, but when I had gotten laid off, I knew I had to move forward. And that was, I actually used to send out job postings. Yahoo shut me down. I was going over to literally 50,000 emails sending out. It was called Helping Hands. It was called Helping Hands Ministries. I didn't know at the time. I just threw something together. So when I went through my layoff and things transitioned, it was really on me to get out there and help the people with not just finding positions, but building on personal development skills, professional soft skills, the whole nine. So with that, for me, my purpose has always been, and this is whether it's personal or professional, and that is to truly be authentically me and share my personal transformation process and testimony. And that includes helping others learn their purpose, how to execute it, and really just move forward and grow, especially depending on where that season of life is. And so
Oh,
that's how I look at my purpose.
yeah, and I can attest to that. So, how many resumes have you helped me create across my career? And something that I'm writing in my book, and let me go ahead, hashtag plug the book in. Um, how to go from laid off to well off. Oh my God, I got laid off. IGLOO. So that's the name of the book. We're
Yes.
about 6 or 7 chapters in, but I talk about in the book, you really should have 3 resumes. And I learned that from Traci, right? These 3 resumes should speak to different attributes inside what you do, who you are. So I have a business operations resume. Then I have
Okay.
a retail sales resume. And then I have a resume that's built on my nonprofit work and my foundation work and any of the D&I aspects of work that I've been doing. So I have those 3 resumes. And let me tell you, girl, the worst thing on earth is a resume bot. Every time that I apply for a job and I go ahead and download my resume, I don't know who created that, but it never works. And you still have to type in all these years of experience. I'm going to be honest with you, it tests my mettle to basically say, do I really want to post for this job? Particularly when it's not working. But that's a little bit about my self testimony. What I want to ask you is,
Okay.
can you tell me about a client that you've had that has put in multiple applications and their resumes just not hitting? They're just not getting the interviews that they thought they would. Can you kind of walk me through how you've helped someone and some of the pitfalls that were there and how did they recover? Can you tell a story about that, please?
Most definitely. That's actually been a lot of my clients as a whole. The first part is really starts in the mindset, Marcus. Really changing one's mindset will help them really look at who they are and what they really bring to the table, and also thinking positive, because there is no cookie cutter way to job searching, and actually really just attaining career goals. Everyone is different. So I've had several clients where I can just really put them in the same, um, because everything is a kind of behavioral pattern. But from there, what typically happens is I go over and changing the mindset and being able to really start looking at, of course, where does your purpose align with your career path? That is the first part. It's not just for me and how I work with people, it's not just about getting a job. It's about the position that aligns with your career path, and that's going to help you meet those final goals. From that point, of course, I rewrite resumes, and I actually give, and you went through this as well. I give you 72 hours to totally study your resume. It's not just about making edits, it's really looking at what you fully bring to the table. Because many times, and it goes back to the mental and mindset, many people don't realize everything that they bring. So, with what tends to happen, they will not apply for positions that they're actually they're qualified for. And so that is one of the steps that we go through. After that point is I then go about saying, hey, now we're going to work on truly personalized job search strategies, understanding the type of position you're wanting to look for. And at that point, what are some of the companies that you would like to work for? What is the environment that you do best in? I take all of that to really bring a strategy that is going to be fitting, and that uh, any of my clients can just walk through and do with their eyes shut. Now, of course, we have a lot of people who are a little bit more laid back in their approach, and they just feel, oh, let me just apply for all of these roles. I call that throwing sheets to the wind, and that is not what we're going to do. And it's actually not effective in time management to get the true results. We really have to focus on what we have set for the strategy as it aligns to those goals and executing the process. Typically, those who have worked with me start seeing, actually, I've had people start receiving results within 24 hours just from a resume. And I'm going to back up just a little bit. Many people do not understand your resume is your marketing piece, point blank.
Mm.
So there's a reason you don't put too much information or not enough information. You put the right information, the correct keywords, and showing all of your achievements as it relates. And of course, quantitative numbers of, your performance and so forth. When you have that, that's a part of what helps you get the interview. But just applying for multiple and multiple positions, that's not going to be a benefit to you at all. And so that's a part of what I do with my clients.
Yeah, that's really good advice and sage advice. I would say, Traci, you're consistent because I remember some time ago when I was at an employer and I was looking, right? I was like, I want to get out of here. I want to do something differently. And I was casting a wide net and you pulled me to the side. It's like, no, dude, no. what three companies do you want to work for? And why do you want to work there? And what are you going to bring? And that really, really gave me that myopic focus of being very focused in there. And that,
Mhm.
quite frankly, propelled me to get that role. So I think you're spot on, and that's why I've whittled down to three different resumes. And to your point, I'm not doing 500 postings or 500
Yeah.
applications a week. Now, based on the state of Washington, I have to ensure that I am doing three great postings to receive my check because I like my check. But in those three postings, right, they're very specific to my
Yeah.
strengths, very specific to what I'm most passionate about, and very specific to my purpose. Now, granted, I believe I'm in like week 8, week 9. So I've not experienced the multiple months that some of the people that I hear in this igloo community saying, hey, it's been months and I've had something. So I'm really trying to make sure that I don't find that kind of desperation mode of being, oh my God, I have to find something now. But I also have to be very methodical and trust the process. But
Right.
really, really good information for folks out here. So just in summary, right? Having a
Mhm.
very specific resume, specific to your purpose, specific to what you're specifically going to find in that employer or bring to that employer. That's something that you said. Secondarily, you said 72-hour review of really understanding what you bring to the table. Be damn imposter syndrome. What did you do? How did you execute it, right? And then what can you do to bring that to the next employer? And then, and I think you said something, understanding the keywords that get you past the resume or application killer, right? That robo killer. What are those sales, quantitative sales, or quantitative work that you've done that will get attention? I want to make sure that our community hears that, our community understands that. So, really, really good advice. So, tell me a little bit about your business, Traci. So, you decided to leave the corporate America world, become an entrepreneur. How 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 do you do that? Like I am attempting to be an entrepreneur, but it's scary as hell. Let me be quite frank with you.
Yes.
That direct deposit never comes right now, and that's a good thing. But I'm interested. How do you motivate yourself and stay on top of the work to ensure you're generating enough income to continue to live in your purpose? How do you do that day in and day out?
Great question. So I was actually one of those who started business while I was still working. I did it on a smaller scale. And I talk about that to anyone, especially those who still want that, check to come in. But, it's like, hey, I'm kind of ready to step out. So I come from both sides of the spectrum with that. So that's how I started off. However, what I made a decision most recently was I'm going full 100% entrepreneur. Now, my situation, which has been for, I now realize a lot of people, was behind pandemic, what came up regarding the pandemic, and had family member who transitioned due to COVID. And so it caused me to have to come home back to North Carolina. So being here and then balancing a lot of personal and family challenges at the time and trying to hold a job, it was overly stressful. So I knew in order to have the true time freedom and still build for the financial freedom, I had to step away. I had to, because as you know, when you're doing PTO, FMLA, and so forth, there's a full process that goes behind it, and I did not want that headache. At that point, something that I've applied for myself and I teach others how, especially from the financial aspect, is all of my pricing is based on what my minimum base salary is, technically a little bit more. So, in a nutshell, taking your annual base salary, I will say 100,000. That's basically $50 an hour, and breaking that down to an hourly rate. and then coming up with my pricing packages, whether it's a la carte or a full package based on time. So a minimum of a 40-hour week project and so forth. And that's what actually helped me transition because I knew, well, if a company is paying me a minimum of $100,000 base salary, and then also looking at if I'm getting paid this and getting bonuses from a company, why can't I do this for myself? That was the
Mm,
other part to it all. If I'm doing these things for these companies and we are replaceable at any
hmm
time, I can do this for myself. And this is what I know I can charge. And for me, my mindset, because of my spiritual foundation, is I don't believe in competition. What's for me is for me. We're in a world of multi-million, almost a billion people. There are clients out there for me. So I will succeed in business. And that's a part of how I went about my structure and setting everything up. When I look at my business goals, I've always known because I just really thought about what when people say, "What did you call your say you want to do as a child?" I really couldn't remember, so I remember I asked my parents, and both of them separately, separate interviews, that because I interviewed them apart, they both said all you talked about was you were going to be a business owner and carry a briefcase. So that helped me see, well, business is in me, so I can do this. So for me personally, my business goal is to have global conglomerates. Because I believe in multiple flows of income and also making sure that the income they're all separate in different areas.
hmm Some delicious tidbits that you dropped there, particularly figuring out that hourly rate. I never really thought about that. Taking your salary, you know me, I'm greedy. I love to have income and salary, but taking that salary, taking those benefits, your bonuses, breaking it down to an hourly rate to say this is what I need to create to live the lifestyle that I have
Yes.
inside my purpose. Um, you actually teased one of the what I call my most fun chapter in the book, and it's something, and you'll remember this name when I drop it on you. As a matter of fact, hashtag Winston-Salem State University. It's homecoming week. HOMEC. OMING. It's homecoming, y'all. It's been a while, you know. It's that's it, right? So it's homecoming week. But Hobart, you remember Hobart? So
Dear
uh,
friend,
I I called Hobart and I was like, man, Hobart, dude, I got laid off. This sucks. I've left the Pacific Northwest. I'm coming back to North Carolina. And I can't attribute this, but it is a delicious tagline. And I want to kind of rumble in this space a little bit. Hobart said, corporate America pays you just enough to kill your dreams.
ooh,
And I
ooh,
was like, because I was upset, man. I was like, yeah, da 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 for like 17 to 20 minutes just going in. And then I
yes.
had to, take a step back, Tracy, and do something similar to what you said, right? I don't believe that corporate America pays you enough to kill your dreams. I don't. What I
Hmm.
have found is you typically create a subset or a structure, debt,
Hmm.
ego,
Mm.
self-serving, self-worth inside a corporate space. And many times you're so invested in that space that you don't take time out to invest in yourself. Whether that is, hey, you know what? I love to fish. I am going to fish 3 times this week. And I've always dreamed about being a bass pro fisher. I'm not speaking about myself. I can't fish, but I know people that do. Or
Okay.
in my realm, right? I've always wanted to do work for nonprofits. I've always wanted to scale good. And I've done that inside many corporations, whether it's through diversity initiatives, partner network initiatives, but that's something that I've always wanted to do. But I never did it on my own. I always did it for a subset of a company. And what I found, right, in really living my purpose is, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can
Mhm.
create this mechanism. I know enough people that will trust me to bring
Yeah.
in this great resource. So I've created a nonprofit, and you're going to throw something at me because I haven't told you this yet, but it's called Grow, Given Resource Opportunities Worldwide. And it was something that you said, right? Because I believe that the touch of providing professional development, the touch of providing resources to the unemployed, the touch of providing food to the hungry is something that I have capacity to do. It drives directly to my purpose of bringing joy to all those I encounter. And guess what? I can or could take a corporate job, but I have a mechanism now that I have focused on that is making me feel full. And corporate America did not kill that dream. I just delayed that dream because I wasn't serving my purpose. I wasn't sowing enough in myself. In IGLOO community, I want you to hear that because it's hard right now, right? I'm saying this, and a number of people have mortgages that they're trying to figure out to pay. They're trying to figure out the car payments. They're looking at maybe their last unemployment check, or they haven't had an unemployment check in 26 weeks. So I don't want to come off as cavalier or pie in the sky. But what I do want to say is I see you, I hear you, and I feel this pain and anger. But I also know that in this scope, in this work, that if you continue to do the right work, you continue to invest in yourself and live in your purpose, those things will take care of themselves. So Traci, really, really good advice. I know we're coming about to the closing part, but I wanted to just ask if you could talk to your 16-year-old self. No, let's not. No. Let's not do 16-year-old Traci. Your 21-year-old self. If you can talk to your 21-year-old self that's stepping out, what advice would you give that 21-year-old Traci? What would you say you need to be focused on to have a full and fruitful career?
But first of all, you changed the ages on me, so I was not prepared for the 21, but I can come off my head with that. 21. Wow. I would definitely say believe stronger in yourself and what you want to do. Understand that your past does not define you. It's a part of you and helps you grow into the person you're going to become. However, it does not define you.
Mhm.
And start networking early. Learn
Yes.
the learn not just the benefits, but the process, the correct process, the correct mindset and intentions of networking. And also be more clear on my goals. That's what I would tell my 21-year-old self.
Oh man, you know what? You're giving me all of these layups, and I appreciate that because that's going to be our next podcast. Is really going to focus in on networking. How do you create an active network? That way, when you become laid off, because it's just a matter of time for many folks, you have a built-in network of people that you can call on, that can speak on your behalf, or tell you about openings. So that will be the next podcast. But sage advice for the 21-year-old Traci. I knew that 21-year-old Traci, and I'm right there with you, man. I am very proud of the work that you've done. I am very proud and honored to continue our friendship. Quite frankly, your ability to, once again, put my resume in a way that gives me opportunity to talk about who I am, how I've been able to proceed. I am just really, really proud of that. And I want to say, Traci, you know what? Texas Traci and North Carolina Traci are the same. You're both spicy, but I am very glad to have you back in the Tar Heel State. Thank you so much for joining us today. And IGLOO community, thank you for joining the first podcast of IGLOO. Once again, I got laid off. Oh my God. I will tell you, we will continue to build out resources and links for you to find your next opportunity to really drive purpose in your life. But I want to say just thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very appreciative of all of you and look forward to welcoming Anita Pierce next week, Tuesday. I believe it's 9 a.m. I'll make sure that I post that. But Anita is someone that I've worked with at Urban Financial Services Coalition, one of the nonprofit groups, many of the nonprofit groups and financial services that I volunteered for. We're going to talk about networking and how to build your network. So again, Traci, thank you. I hope to see you this weekend at homecoming. Please show up.
Yes.
And please make sure you donate to the Winston-Salem State University Foundation. Thank you so much. Ken Vance, I appreciate you joining. Everyone take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.